What is the story that you're telling yourself? This was a question that my mom would ask me all the time, especially when circumstances were challenging and I would be in a place where I would have a bad attitude. My pops would just embody this thing. It wasn't that he said it in that many words as far as what story are you telling yourself, but he would always ask me about my attitude. He would tell me that I got to choose my attitude. He would say, boy, you have no idea what God is doing right now. You have no idea the details that he's into and what he's working out for you. And then he would tell me stories about him growing up as a Mexican man or a Mexican boy in a small town in Utah called Tooele. And the story that he would have to tell himself to be able to get through the times. The stories that we tell ourselves are so very important. And I think one of the big things was my pops was, he was teaching me about attitude. It wasn't about the circumstances that I had, but it was the story that I told myself about the circumstances. And both my parents were they were so very consistent in this throughout their lives. And then, moving on in my life, then my brother would tell me that I had rose-colored glasses on. And then sometimes people would talk about a positive mental attitude. But it all comes back to what my mom and pops would say. What story are you telling yourself? Your circumstances that you're going through today, the challenges that you're going through today, the challenges with your boss or with your work or the decisions that you're about to make, what's the story that you're telling yourself? The challenges that you're going through with your family, maybe the successes that you're having, what's the story that you're telling yourself? I sat down with my men's group today and we had Craig and we had Cole. We came in and it was a little different. We were working on Proverbs 10 today, but it was amazing because God lived out that Proverbs 10, which was what story are you telling? Through Cole sitting down, having an idea, and then Craig, saying that he has this, Cole has this desire, and then Craig had application immediately. Like he talked to him and he gave him an opportunity right away, a way to be able to apply that desire. Now, a difference between a want and a desire, and we'll get into that later. But I believe that Cole had a desire, but the action to that desire didn't come wrapped exactly the way that he thought it was going to be, but it came wrapped in opportunity because of a relationship that was right in front of him. But the story you could tell is, man, I drove because Cole drove like over an hour to be able to get to men's group today. He could have told himself, I should just turn around. It's too much. The traffic is too much, all these things. But he took the time and he was there. And now the stories that he's telling himself is that there's an opportunity. Now, whether he takes that and adds action to it, that's on him. But the stories that we tell ourselves about the opportunities and circumstances that we have in our life shift everything. And as I sat down with Proverbs 10 today, it tells us the story of wisdom so that when the circumstances hit and we are telling ourselves a story of the nonsense, we can weigh it against the truth that will ultimately set us free. So today, on this Tuesday, what story are you telling yourself? Why don't we get this party started?
Yeah. And this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. We begun surfing waves too low, made our own rules everywhere we go. Held tight to the truth that our parents declared. Anything is possible, the love stayed there. Now Rob's daughter ballin' on the end scene, Olay scene. Will's kids live dreams we never could have seen. This the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights.
What story are you telling yourself today? Ask yourself that on this Tuesday, this beautiful Tuesday. What story are you telling yourself? The story that I'm telling myself is I got a hole-in-one on December 6th, and that was with a 9-iron on a par 3 on hole 4 at Rancho Carlsbad. The story that I'm telling myself, when I first got it, I was like, I can't even believe this. And then I remember telling my brother about it, and he was like, oh my gosh, I golf all the time, and I didn't get one yet, and you got one. You should be excited about it. And then he told me, he's like, I didn't see anything on social media about it. And I said, I didn't think that I really needed to, post a picture about it, anything like that. He's like, are you kidding me? You need to tell the story. So here's the story that I'm telling today. Hole in one, Rancho Carlsbad, hole 4. 116 yards, par 3, a 9-iron on December 6th. Bang, bang, biggity, bang. But what it brought to mind was actually Proverbs 10:22, that God will bring immense blessing without toil for it, right? And I'm killing the verse there, but we'll look into it exactly. But God brings things without us having to do all the crazy. It doesn't mean that we don't work, but he's going to bring things that are so absolutely amazing that we're going to have to turn around and be able to give him credit. I can't take credit for the hole in one. I literally am awful at golf, not great at all. I'm a motivational golfer, meaning that if you golf with me, you're going to feel good about your game all the time. And Duke, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was talking to you about it the other day. And if you want to go golfing with me, I will make you feel great about what it is that you're doing. And that's, again, the story that you tell yourself. A lot of times what will happen is we're doing amazing, but then we hang out with people who are doing even better. And then the story that we tell ourselves is, man, I'm not enough. But what God is saying is you are enough. And what I want you to do is I want you to, anytime you're telling yourself a story, I want you to test it against truth. And that truth is wisdom. And today in Proverbs 10, it literally, it lays it out. It lays it out as an absolute masterclass, not only for, your personal, your professional, your spiritual, and your financial life, but just in life in general. And today, when we sat down with our men's group, I thought we were going to be talking about Proverbs 10. We weren't. We got there was a couple haircuts that happened and transpired. There was conversations that were had, and then there was the desire. And you see, Cole told us about a desire that he has with his marketing company, and this guy is an absolute genius. If in the event that you're in the market for video, AI creation, ad space, all those things, I mean, this dude is unreal. He could really light your business on fire. But he was telling us the story of why he wanted to do the type of things that he was going to do. And then it was amazing because the story that Craig had, because Craig, my buddy, he's the history hunter. This guy his mind is on a whole different plane. So the story that he told was he has a business that he doesn't need the money, but he just wants to bless people. And that blessing of people can come through him blessing somebody to be able to help with the business. And it was incredible. I mean, I just watched it happen before my eyes. And this is exactly, guys, what happens at the Vibe Room too. And the Vibe Room is the live version of the podcast, is bringing together all the people. Like this morning, we had our men's group. We had Craig, who is the history hunter, been on Pawn Stars, 90 episodes, and the foremost authority for World War II weapons in the world. And he happens to be in my men's group. And then I got Cole, who's 23 years old. Cole would never hang out with Craig, but Craig and Cole get to meet because we have a men's group and we come together. This is the power of what we did with the Vibe Room, because I've been so blessed to be around eclectic people that, from all different walks of life. Michael and Gina Adams. Michael Adams is one of the top litigating attorneys in the world. Like, this dude in 30 years has never lost, ever. And when a company needs protection, they're protecting IP or anything like that, he's the guy. And he does not lose for 30 years. I happen to be a friend of his. We've been friends for probably 11, 12 years. And then I get to introduce him to Craig, the history hunter. Those guys connect. And I tell you, there's so many different connections that happen at the Vibe Room, and it's just unreal. So that's the story that I'm telling myself today. That's the story that's told as we go along. That's the stories that develop. Is it actually what happened? That's up to you. But the stories that we tell ourselves about the circumstances that happen shape everything within what we're doing. So in Proverbs 10, I want to jump into this we're going to kind of rapid fire this. But I tell you, If you have never buckled up your seatbelt for the podcast, buckle it up right now, because Proverbs 10, like, it is so rich. Like, it's like drinking from a fire hose. Seriously. So take a breath, grab a pen or a paper, or grab your Inchstone's workbook and write some things down. Writing creates magic. I was just talking with my buddy Jay Shoup. He's going to be at the Vibe Room too. I was talking to him yesterday, and he said that there's this crazy vortex that happens when you physically write, when you write longhand. I completely believe it. I sat down today, and as I was spending my alone time with God, I was on the dog walk this morning. I'm walking the dogs. I'm dragging Skylar. Ziggy's pulling me, so I'm back and forth with the two. But God is just telling me, what's the story you're telling yourself? What's the story you're telling yourself? What's the story you're telling yourself? Well, the story I was telling myself about Skylar is that you need to go. Like, I need to pull you. And then with Ziggy, I'm saying, stop. I'm telling two different stories about it. Now, I could get angry at that. I could get, which I was a little angry at Skylar this morning for, me having to drag her, or Ziggy sometimes pulling so hard that it yanks the phone out of my hand. I could tell myself the story that, oh, this is an awful day. And then guess what'll happen? It'll be an awful day. My parents, it goes back to my mom and pops. They were just always constantly asking me, what story are you telling yourself? My pops was telling himself the story when he was a little Mexican kid growing up in Tooele, and Mexican people weren't treated the best. They were, he had friends that when he would go over to the friend's house and all of them would be playing, the white kids would be able to go indoors, and they would say that, the little Mexican kid has to sit outside because he was Mexican. The story that he told himself, though, as he grew up, at first he was angry about it, and that anger, he worked through that. But as he went through, he realized that he was special in God's eyes, and that was the story that he told himself. So that way, when he went into the military and he was unqualified to be able to take a position or apply for a position with NASA, he told himself, I'm qualified. I'm special. And you know what he did? He applied, and he became one of the first seven safety people with NASA at a very, very young age, and he was unqualified for the position. It was the story that he told himself. But I think a lot of times we need the truth to run our story up against to almost get us back on track. And my mom was always one of those for myself. My pops was, my brother is, my buddy Will, my buddy Dave. And sometimes, because of the circumstances, we tell ourselves a story that we're not enough. Times are challenging and they're going to stay challenging. And then we have the friend that comes along and says to us, no, I know who you are. This is simply just a time. This is a moment in time, but you're going to another place. You could call it the power of positive thinking. You could call it all those things, but what it comes back to is the simplicity that my mom and pop said was, what story are you telling yourself? And so in Proverbs 10, wisdom brings joy to all of those around you. So if you're not bringing joy to all those around you, wisdom is not present. And wisdom is the right use of knowledge. So think of this as we go. This is the story. Like, run it up against there. Are you bringing joy to all those around you? Wisdom does right business. Are you doing right business? Are you doing the right thing for the right reason and the right thing turning out? Or are you taking advantage of certain situations? Wisdom provides your mind, spirit, and body, or provides for. Wisdom provides for your mind, spirit, and body. So it's going to be able to lift you up in all different areas. And then faith powers wisdom. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, and it powers wisdom. You got to have faith to be able to have a relationship with God or spend time with God, because the beginning of all wisdom is the fear of God, which means that you just spend time with Him. And when you spend time with Him, it's acting on faith because you can't see Him, but you know Him, you feel Him in your heart. Take a walk, get a little silent, ask a couple questions, and then allow the answers to come. Wisdom is diligent. Wisdom is prudent. It takes thought of the future. And when I say diligent, it does right work. Wisdom is not lazy. And wisdom is prudent. It takes thought of the future. So in every action that we do, should we take thought of the future? I've been challenged with this lately because, there's been some dealings in business for me that I think, like, I just want to react. And then I think, I got to take thought of the future. I got to be prudent, right? And sometimes the story that I'm telling myself is you need to fire on the person right now. Prudence says, think about how that'll impact in the future. Wisdom has a golden horseshoe. My brother used to always tell me, he's like, you got a golden horseshoe. And because things would have the tendency to work out in my favor. Now, the reason why it worked out in my favor is because the story that I told myself was that it was going to work out in my favor, even if it was wrong, even if it was the worst thing in the world. And this doesn't mean that I speak it into existence. It means that no matter what happened, I thought it was the greatest thing for me at the time. And I used to utilize this because I used to get made fun of at times for my clothes or the way that I looked. I looked a little bit different, all these things. But what I found is that if you complimented me or dogged on me, I said thank you. And this was a thing that I learned from my mom and my pops. Just said thank you. Thank you so much for that. Because now everything becomes a part of your advantage. What if you mess up and you do something wrong? Okay, cool. Then you learn from it. What if you do something right? Well, kill your ego a little bit and then move forward. See how you could bless somebody else with the blessing that you just got. So that golden horseshoe is not about the circumstances in your life going exactly the way that you want. It's that you telling yourself the story about the circumstances that are actually happening right now. Wisdom gives you a good name in the eyes of God and in man, And this was a tough one because I remember, seeing my pops growing up and he would be constantly like, he went off the deep end when he started, studying the word, things like that. And I used to think like, yeah, that sounds good, man, but how does it apply to today? What are you, Moses? You're going to put on a robe and some sandals and walk around Lompoc, California and just hang out with like 12 dudes and part the sea and do all the stuff. But what I noticed is that as my dad grew and as he sought wisdom more, his name was good with men and it was good with God. So when you met my pops, if you got to spend any time with him, you always knew that you were better when you left than when before you met him. Every single time, no matter who you were, no matter what it is that you did, you were better. And for the people who have encountered my pops, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Especially me and my brother at the time, like when he would throw the ball at us in front of his car and say that he would whoop us if it hit his car. We weren't thinking that at that time, but now we think about some of the lessons that we have. And honestly, if I got 5 minutes to be able to spend with my pops, I'd give anything in the world to be able to do that. Wisdom seeks, listens, and applies wise counsel. And so think of that. Like if you have wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge, it comes from respect to God, which is just spending time with God. So if you spend time with God, you'll get wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge. And then you can just add knowledge and understanding, insight, discretion, discernment, discipline, strength, and right back to the respect of God. But imagine all those things that'll come, but wisdom still seeks, listens, and applies wise counsel. Where does wise counsel come from? From people who have wisdom. Where does wisdom come from? From spending time with God. So if you have wisdom from spending time with God, then you spend time with people who have spent time with God, and then you apply that counsel, that shows that wisdom is there. It's a cycle that is amazing. I just about said a vicious cycle, but I tell you, it's an incredible cycle. Wisdom walks securely in integrity, and I tell you, I watch my brother with this. Rob Cardenas, you're going to meet him at the Vibe Room, March 11th. This guy walks securely and in integrity because he knows that he's doing the right things for the right reasons, and the right things will turn out. Wisdom is honest. Wisdom speaks life. This was the biggest one in Proverbs 10. And it had 7 verses that talked about speaking life. And speaking life is using someone's name, saying something specific that they did that encouraged you and inspired you. And I tell you, it lights people on fire. If you want to build the business, you'll build the people and then allow the people to build the business. But how do we build the people? We just speak life to them. Use their name, something specific, and watch them light on fire. Wisdom pours out love. If you're not pouring out love, you don't have wisdom inside of you. Wisdom's discernment muscle is unmatched. Discernment is understanding and knowing when you come to the fork in the road, is this for me and in line with my future, or is it something that I want now, right? Prudence. When we talked about prudence, the thought of the future. So when we think about that, wisdom's discernment muscle is unmatched. And I tell you, it's so valuable. Wisdom stores up knowledge. Wisdom does the right thing. Wisdom invites discipline. Wisdom brings blessings that can only be explained by a relationship with God. And this is Proverbs 10:22. And so when you look at Proverbs 10:22, I tell you, if you just read one verse in this, read Proverbs 10:22. Wisdom brings blessings that only can be explained by a relationship with God. I was just spending time with a very inspirational man yesterday, and his son plays football with my son. And what he was saying is all the blessings that he has. He's one of the top landscape designers in all of North County, San Diego. And this guy, he talks about his business, but he was like, I could not explain my business to you. I could only explain my relationship with God to you because he is the one that blessed it. Wisdom has understanding. Wisdom grants desires, not wants, desires. A desire comes from God. A want comes from our lack. And most of the time it comes from our pride, our ego. And, most of that time that pride comes before the fall. So the difference between something that desires is in line with God's will and a want is just because somebody else has it and you want it. Wisdom is a firm foundation. Wisdom isn't lazy. Wisdom allows you to live in every second through presence in that moment. Wisdom always produces hope and joy. Wisdom is a refuge. And watch this. There's so many things that happen within our life, and favorable circumstances are never guaranteed. Although when you know the truth about wisdom, your narrative will always be in your favor. So today I ask you what my mama and pops always asked me. What's the story that you're telling yourself? I would invite you, take the time today. It'll take you, I think this one's a little bit longer. I think it's like 32 verses, take you about 10 minutes. Read Proverbs 10 today. Read Proverbs 10 and then also go back in this. I'll put the show notes down for you. And when we put the show notes down, look at what wisdom is, what the story of wisdom is, meaning that you're spending time with God. He'll give you wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge. And then it'll unlock that cycle for you, the wisdom cycle, which is you start with spending time with God. He gives you wisdom. Then you could bring knowledge because wisdom is the right use of knowledge. Then when you start using that knowledge, you'll gain understanding, insight, discernment, discretion, discernment, discipline, and then strength. And that strength will lead you right back to spending time with where you got the stuff in the first place. And anytime that your circumstances start to cause you to tell a story that's contrary to what wisdom's story is, stop for a second. Stop for a second. Set into it. And realize that God has a story. He has that story. He has your story. But sometimes because of our circumstances, we start telling ourselves the nonsense story that leads us down a place where he doesn't want us to go. So I hope you have a phenomenal day. I look forward to seeing all of you not all of you, because all of you can't come. It's going to sell out very soon. But March 11th, the Vibe Room, it's live music, comedy, some of the coolest interviews. And I tell you, the lineup is ridiculous. And then the biggest part is the people in the room, the person sitting next to you, the people that you'll meet and connect with for the rest of your entire life. I hope you have a phenomenal day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Yeah. And this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. We begun surfing waves too low, made our own rules everywhere we go. Held tight to the truth that our parents declared. Anything is possible, the love stayed there. Now Rob's daughter ballin' on the end scene. Ole scene, Will's kids live dreams we never could have seen. This the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights.